someone who I had the pleasure to listen to, someone who I learned from. Absolutely great speaker about mindset. So if you all could make a nice applause for Mr. Daniel Bell. Woo!
Raise your hands if you want to be successful. Yeah. Raise your hands if you want to become a magnet to success. That'd be pretty cool?
Yeah.
Okay, so in today's session, I'm going to share with you how you can develop the X factor, how you can become irresistible to people, and how you can program your mind for success. Does that sound pretty cool, yes or no?
Yes.
Come on guys, you can do better than that. Does that sound better? Pretty good, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So to give you a little bit of information about myself, my name is Daniel Bell and I am an entrepreneur, public speaker, and I've got to say that life wasn't always like this for me. I mean, I used to be the kind of kid at school where if a girl said hello to me, I would pee my pants. You know, I had no self-esteem, I had no confidence. I was the kind of kid that I would just sit in the corner and just kind of let everybody else crack on, and I wasn't really in with the popular kids. You know, I wasn't unruly at school, I wasn't misbehaved, but I was not really confident. My self-esteem was very, very low indeed. And I used to believe that charismatic and confident people were born charismatic and confident. Raise your hands if you believe this or if you believe this now.
Yeah.
Okay, but one thing I learned is that charisma, real, genuine charisma, is something that can be developed. It is a tool that we can use to become more influential, to become more persuasive, and how we can actually attract the right people into our life. If you apply what I'm going to share with you today, you are going to become like a magnet to all things great. People are going to want to know who you are. People are going to want to add you on Facebook. People are going to want to be part of your life. You are going to be able to walk into any room and light up that room instantly if you apply the following information that I'm going to share with you. And Jim Rohn, raise your hands if you've heard of Jim Rohn before. Okay, so Jim Rohn, incredible speaker, one of my biggest inspirations. Jim Rohn said, and it's completely changed my life. Jim Rohn said, success is something that you attract by becoming an attractive person. Success is not something that you pursue. Success is something that you attract by becoming an attractive person. And I'm going to share with you something today called the X Factor. Repeat after me, the X Factor.
X Factor.
Okay, so we're not talking about singing. I'm not going to get you singing today. I'm not going to sing because I'm not very good at singing. Okay, only in the shower. So, like I say, before we get into this, I want to talk to you about something that is absolutely critical for us to get our way in life. And I want to do an exercise. I want you guys to come up and I want you to share with everybody what your favorite restaurant is and why that is your favorite restaurant. I'm going to justify why we're doing this after we actually do this exercise. So for example, you could say, I'm going to say to you, Joe Bobs, what is your favorite restaurant? And you're going to say, well, my favorite restaurant is TGI Fridays, for example. I love TGI Fridays because the food is always great, the service is always excellent, I've never had a bad meal there. Okay, so who's my first volunteer? Who wants to come up and share? Okay, so what's your name?
My name's Tom.
Tom. Okay, Tom. So what I'd like to ask you is, what is your favourite restaurant? Just tell me what your favourite restaurant is.
It's called Chianti. It's an Italian where I'm from, where I used to be from anyway.
Okay, Chianti, Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
Italian, I love Italian.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so like I said, what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you to share with the audience why Chianti's is your favourite restaurant.
Okay, so Chianti's my favourite restaurant because my family's gone there since I was young, and it's gone right to the generations, and we usually go there for kind of special events like anniversaries or birthdays. So the staff know us, the manager knows us, and my dad's a policeman, and when he used to be on the beat, he used to go into there for coffee and stuff like that. So it's a special place for the family as well as kind of great food as well. It's got a special place in our family's heart.
Fantastic.
Mm.
Sounds awesome. I've got to be going there soon. Really good. I like that description. Okay, Tom, take a seat. Give Tom a round of applause. Okay, so who wants to come up next? Okay, what's your name?
Tom Payne?
Tom Payne. Okay, so Tom, what is your favourite restaurant?
I think just for the experience, it's probably a beef eater. I one in particular is close to my house, which is the Longford Inn.
Okay, excellent. So beef eater. Why, share with the audience, why do you love the beef eater restaurant, Longford?
I love a steak. It's going back to where Tom was mentioning in his speech about value for money. It's very good value for a very nice steak.
Excellent, excellent.
Family welcoming area. So yeah, go there for birthdays and other events.
Fantastic. Okay, excellent. Take a seat, Tom.
Thank
Big Tom
you.
round of applause. Okay, who wants to come up next? Okay, what's your name?
Tom Walker.
Tom.
Mainly me.
Of course. So, Tom, what is your favourite restaurant?
McDonald's.
McDonald's. Okay, why is McDonald's your favourite restaurant?
Chef, because it's quick, it's easy, and everyone loves grease.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, short, simple. I like it. Straight to the point. Okay, take a seat. Take a seat. Excellent. Okay. So you're probably wondering why. Why did I get you to do that? Why did I ask you to do that? Why did I ask you to share your favourite restaurant? I want to talk to you. Before we get into the X Factor, the most important part, I want to talk to you about selling. Now, when you think of a salesperson, what do you think of? Let me try and paint a picture in your head. Do you think of a really good-looking guy in a really tight suit with a leather briefcase, and he's got all the quick, swindling words, and he's very good, he's got the gift of the gab, he knows all the right things to say. You know, you may think of a car salesman, you may think of a double glazing window salesman. I'm talking stereotypical here, but do you think, does that kind of ring a bell with you when it comes to a salesperson?
Yeah.
Okay? So here's the interesting thing. You, who stood up here and shared your favourite restaurant, you just sold. You just sold to the people as to why you are supposed to go to that restaurant. We are all selling on a daily basis. We are all selling. We are all negotiating when we interact with other human beings. So your ability or inability to successfully sell and negotiate to your fellow human being is going to lead your success, or it's going to lead to your downfall. You probably had it before when you were a young child, when you were a toddler, and your mum and dad were walking. You're walking through the shopping precinct, and you're holding hands with mummy. You say, "Oh, look at that toy! Look at that toy, mummy! I want that toy! I want that toy!" And your mum's like, "No, come on, we've got to get home. We've got to get home." And then you walk a little bit further. You go, "Wow, I want that toy, mummy!" And your mum has no choice but to go back and say, "Look, how much? Take my money." So the child has successfully sold the mother on why he is supposed to have that toy. You know, if you are a chef, if you have a chicken recipe, then we are supposed to sell the people on why that is the best chicken recipe, right? Now, if you work for somebody, if you're employed by somebody, and you want an extra 2 weeks holiday per year, you are supposed to sell your boss on why you're supposed to have another 2 weeks holiday per year. It really is as simple as that. Selling to other people and negotiating is a part of our everyday life. So if we could get to that point where we were excellent at negotiating with other people and getting what we want from life in an ethical way, would that be pretty awesome? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So I just want to make a really important point now. Very, very, very important, and it's something that really resonates with me, and it's crucial that we understand this. So what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you just to tilt forward in your seats a little bit. Tilt forward in your seats. Got something really important to share with you. People don't buy the product. People buy you. People don't buy the product. People buy you. Because let me share with you something. If you are selling either a product or an idea, no matter what, it all comes back to you. People say the product sells itself. And yes, there are products out there that are very, very irreplaceable. We talk about Apple products, but Steve Jobs was the main visionary behind this. Many people bought into Steve Jobs' vision about where he wanted to take Apple. People buy you, they don't buy the product. So whether it's a product that you're selling or an idea, it all comes back to you and the person that you represent. A classic example of this is my friend Lee. He's a financial advisor. He makes really good money, lives a really good life. He's happily married with children, and he's always bought BMWs. Okay, BMW cars. Every 3 or 4 years, when he wants a new car, he goes to his salesman friend at BMW, and he buys a BMW. He's had BMWs all his life because his friend, salesperson, he would go to this person every time he wanted a new BMW, and he would sit down and negotiate with that person who was his friend. Now, something really interesting happened. When Lee wanted a new BMW, he found out that his salesman friend went from BMW to Mercedes. Now, where do you think Lee bought his next car from? Anybody make a guess?
Mercedes.
Mercedes-Benz. Because he went to his salesman friend at Mercedes-Benz, who was formerly at BMW, and he sat down and he negotiated with this person. I know, spent like 60 grand on this massive white SUV vehicle, and he bought this product because he bought it from somebody he trusted. It was his friend. Completely different car, completely different product, but the same person who he trusted, he had rapport and friendship with. So people buy into you. Okay. So I'm going to share something with you now that I have developed. And when Tom asked me to speak today, he talked about image and building our brand, and particularly image, not only the image of our business, but as he said, the image of yourself, that is a product that you are representing. And I thought this was absolutely perfect for this occasion. I couldn't think of anything more fitting than to share with you the following information. And it's called the X Factor. Repeat after me, please. The X Factor.
X Factor.
Okay, so if you apply this model that I'm going to share with you now, you are going to leave people with no choice but to like you, with no choice but to trust you. People are going to want to be part of your life. They're going to know. They're going to want to know more about you. You are going to be irresistible to people. That sound pretty cool? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
sounds good, yeah.
Okay, so without further ado, first key to the X Factor is smile. Repeat after me. Smile.
Smile.
Okay, so smile. So a smile, why is this so important? Why is this so powerful? A smile is an indication of warmth and friendliness. The brain is very, very good at seeing something and linking certain things to that image. So if you see somebody smiling, you're going to associate goodwill with that. You're going to associate happiness with that, friendliness, positivity. So if you want to make an instant great impression with somebody, then smiling is a powerful, very, very simple way of doing this. And you need to practice this when we're walking down the street. When you walk past somebody, smile at them. Somebody's attitude, I learned this of Earl Nightingale. Earl Nightingale once said, somebody's attitude towards you is a direct reflection of your attitude towards them. So this whole concept of what you give is what you get, raise your hands if you agree with that. What you give is what you get back. Okay? So smile at people. It has to be a genuine, a warm and sincere smile. It has to come from inside here. It has to come from the heart. And how do we do this? You're probably thinking, well, Dan, how do I smile when I've had a bad day? Raise your hands if you've ever had a bad day. Yeah. Thank you for the interaction there. Okay, so when you're having a bad day, you don't feel like smiling, all you have to do is imagine yourself smiling, or recall something funny that somebody has said to you. You know, have you ever experienced this before when you've recalled a joke that somebody's told to you, and you know you were like laughing for about 5 minutes, like side-splitting laughter. You could not stop laughing for about 5 minutes. Okay, if you recall this, then your mind actually replays that image, and you cannot help but to laugh and to smile at the same time. Because the subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a real and an imaginary experience. So if you imagine yourself laughing, and you recall that image again, you will laugh or you will smile. If you imagine yourself as smiling, then you will actually recall that image, and you will actually change what goes on with your body's chemistry and your facial expressions. So smile at people. If you want that instant rapport with somebody, give them a warm, genuine and sincere smile, and people are going to link that to goodwill, positivity and friendliness. And you're going to have instant rapport with somebody. Raise your hands if that makes sense. Okay, excellent. Very, very simple. Okay, very, very simple. Okay, so next key to the X Factor is eye contact. Eye contact. Very, very simple, but massively overlooked. Because eye contact, when you make eye contact with somebody, when you're talking to somebody, or when somebody's talking to you, it shows that you care and you respect what your fellow human being is saying. Have you ever been talking to somebody and they've been looking back at you and they've been making eye contact with you, and then all of a sudden they look down at their shoes, or they check their phone, or they check their watch, or they speak to somebody behind you, they're looking over your shoulder? How does that make you feel? Does it make you feel a little bit disrespected? Yeah. Because it shows that the person is not fully associated and interested with what you are saying. So this is how we build rapport with somebody. This is how we make a deeper emotional connection with somebody. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later on, but this is how we connect with somebody, by making eye contact with the person, particularly when they're speaking to us. Because if we can hold eye contact, it shows that we are present in the moment and we are fully respecting what that person is saying. So if you want to like destroy your rapport with somebody, if you want to make a bad first impression, or if you want to look like this, you're somebody that you can't trust, just make sure that you're looking all over the place, that you're not making eye contact with them. Eye contact isn't an absolute certainty for building trust with somebody, but if you don't make eye contact with somebody, it makes you look a little bit shifty. It makes you look like, I'm not sure if I can trust this person. His eyes are all over the place, he's looking down on the ground, what's going on in his head? But if you pay attention to somebody, it shows that you are more of a trustworthy person. So to develop the X factor and charisma, real genuine charisma now, we have to hold eye contact with our fellow human being, okay? So second key to the X factor is eye contact. Repeat after me. Eye contact. Turn to the person to your left or right and say, make eye contact.
Make eye contact.
Make eye contact.
Okay, so third key to the X factor is by the way, is this quite, raise your hands if you think this is quite simple so far, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so often in life, you may have heard this before, but this stuff is simple, but it's not necessarily easy. You can't develop the X factor overnight. It's something that you have to really work on and make a conscious decision to actually apply the X factor in every social interaction that we actually have. We have to make an effort with people, ladies and gentlemen. We have to make that effort with our fellow human being. Because as Earl Nightingale said, somebody's attitude towards you is a direct reflection of your attitude towards them. So third key to the X factor is listen. So somebody may be talking to you and you may be making eye contact, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're listening properly to that person. How good are your listening skills? If I were to ask you now, how would you rate your listening skills? On a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being absolutely rubbish, terrible at it, 10 being excellent at listening to people. How good would you say your listening skills are? Scale of 1 to 10.
Probably 7.
7? Okay.
I was going to go 8, but yeah, right, not
8? Okay.
5, halfway. It can vary.
non-committal.
It can vary depending on the day.
Absolutely. Okay. So when it comes to listen to somebody effectively, if I were to define this, I would say listening effectively to somebody is to be fully associated and present with what that person is saying. I don't know if you've had this before. I've definitely had this before when I've been talking to somebody and we're very clever. We're very clever human beings. We're very, very clever species. And you've been talking to somebody and you can just tell in a split second whether that person is not listening to you properly. Raise your hands if you can relate to that. Because as human beings, we have something called imagination. We have something called what?
Imagination.
So imagination, it allows us to actually go into the future and imagine things that are going to happen in the future. So when you're talking to somebody, when somebody's talking to you, you may think you're listening to them properly, but you're looking at them and you're going, yeah. What's for tea tonight? Oh, who's going to get evicted from Big Brother? Who's getting pregnant on Coronation Street? Who's getting divorced on EastEnders? What car should I buy? Where should I take the kids tomorrow? What should we do on the weekend? So when you go into the future and you start imagining, you take the emphasis of the person. And this is not a good thing, because if we actually lose that connection with somebody, then we've lost that rapport. So when you fill your mind wondering, which is okay, as human beings, this is totally natural. When you fill your mind wondering, you start imagining, you start thinking what you're doing tomorrow and next week and next year, return back to present, connect with the person, make eye contact, and listen to what the person is saying. Be present in the moment, and you're able to retain more information from the person, and you're also able to connect with the person. This is absolutely crucial to make that deeper emotional connection. And if you listen effectively, it shows that you respect what that person is saying. If you respect what that person is saying, that person is going to respect you back. Okay? So number 3, key to the X factor is listen. Repeat after me. Listen.
Listen.
Turn to the person to your left or right and say, you were born to be successful.
You were born to be successful.
You were born to be successful.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so next key to the X factor is gesticulate. Gesticulate. Raise your hands if you know what gesticulate means.
Is it something to do with gesture?
I just want you to do this just for a moment. I want you to put your hand in a fist like this, and then I want you to put your hands in the air. You just gesticulate it. Okay? So to gesticulate is to use our hands.
Yeah, gesture.
Raise your hands if you have hands. Excellent, excellent. Okay? So this is a fantastic way, an excellent way of communicating our message to somebody in a more powerful and impactful way. So a lot of people, they walk around like this, hello, my name is this, hello, what should we do today, this is what I'm going to do today, this is my, and they just stand there. Not everybody, but a lot of people don't use their hands. Where if we express ourselves by using our hands, we have a lot more power. We have that charisma. This is a massive key to the X factor I'm sharing with you now. Hand gestures are easy. A hand gesture is this. 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 We have our hands. My brother, Peter, he's my half brother, and very, very successful guy. He's the vice chairman of one of the most sought after building construction companies in the Gloucestershire area. And he's also president of one of the top 2 rugby clubs in the Gloucestershire area. Very, very successful guy. And when you go to events, and Peter's a very charismatic guy. He hasn't quite got the X factor. He's a couple of keys out, but he's very, very charismatic. And you notice something when Peter's telling a story. He's very animated. He's very, very good at using his hand gestures. And you see people, you could tell that Peter's a good storyteller, because if you spot some, a crowd of people around him, it captivates them. And you see the people reacting like this, or they're like this, laughing like this, or they're like, because he's so good at impacting what he's saying with his hand gestures. When you use a hand gesture and you speak at the same time and you deliver a message to somebody, it makes it more impactful, and your message automatically holds more weight. So charismatic people use their hand gestures. Hey, we can all use our hand gestures in different ways. I can be passionate like this. You have to apply the X factor. This is an absolute must. This is absolutely crucial for you to become a charismatic and influential person. Or I can use passion like this. But it all applies in different contexts. But to use your hand gestures is crucial for developing the X factor and becoming a more charismatic and powerful, and also a more of a warm person. And that's how we make a connection with somebody. So use your hand gestures. I want you to give me a quick fist pump and say, use hand gestures!
Use hand gestures!
Okay, so raise your hands if you find this quite helpful so far, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, fantastic. So number 5 key to the X factor is compliment. Repeat after me. Compliment.
Compliment.
Okay. So raise your hands if you like a compliment. I was going to say raise your hands if you don't like a compliment. But some people, they say, I don't like a compliment. They say, oh, no, I don't like compliments. Oh, no, don't say that. No, that's not true. When really, I'd have to challenge that. Because I just believe this, that when you compliment your fellow human being, they might not instantly accept it, but later on, at a deeper subconscious level, that person is going to like you more. That person is going to accept your compliment, and they're going to feel good about it. I cannot see any way that somebody can feel bad about themselves if you say something good about them. I cannot see any way that somebody could actually feel bad for this. So when you compliment somebody, it shows warmth from your character. And I'm talking about a genuine and sincere compliment now. You know, if you see, for example, if you see an overweight person at a bar, you won't go up to that person and say, well, you look really fit, do you go to the gym? Because that would just be unethical, and that would be called flattery, right? Flattery will get you nowhere. It has to be warm, it has to be sincere, and it has to be genuine when you compliment somebody. So I'm not talking about the biggest, cheesiest compliment ever. I'm not talking about, oh my gosh, your eyes look like the blue, vast, rippling waves of the ocean. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a simple compliment. So if you're in a bar or you're in a cafe and you're waiting in line, say, I really like your bag. Where did you get it from? I really like your shoes. Are they Italian leather? I really like your hair. Did you do that yourself, or did you get it done at a salon? I really like your jacket. It really, really suits you. I really like your hair. I like how you've done it. How did you do that? So pay somebody a simple compliment, and you built a connection. You built a rapport with that person. People appreciate compliments, whether they say they do or whether they say they do not. People accept compliments at a deeper subconscious level, and they're going to be more likely to build trust with you. This is critical now, trust. I believe like British culture, I believe that British culture, we're not very good, stereotypically speaking now, we're not very good at compliments, I don't believe. Just a simple compliment now. I mean, raise your hands if you're friends with any American people. Okay, so I've been on holidays before to America and Royal Caribbean cruise ships and amazing experiences. And when you get on these cruise ships, you'll find that there's a lot of American people on there, right? And generally speaking, American people are a lot more open, aren't they? They're a lot more cheerful. I'm talking generally speaking now. I'm talking in general terms. And I remember I used to do this when I used to get into the elevator. I used to get in there, press the button. So you walk in there, you see like an old couple on the right-hand side, and you press the button to go to the floor that you want to go to. And you know how you do when you just put your hands in your pocket, and you do the really British thing, and you put your hands down, you put your head down like this, and you go, right, I'm going to get to my floor without making any conversation with the person. I don't want anybody to make conversation with me. I'm just going to put my head down. And then all of a sudden, you hear, oh my God, I love your shirt. Where did you get that from? Oh my gosh, are you from England? Are you friends with the Queen? Are you friends with Prince Harry? Oh my gosh, we should visit your neighborhood. So, I mean, generally speaking, a lot of American people are quite over the top, right? Which I think is a really good thing. But I'm not saying we have to be over the top, but that person gave me a compliment about my shirt, and that makes me feel good. So the power of a compliment is absolutely massive. To pay somebody a simple compliment, it goes a long way. Okay. Key number 5 to the X Factor is compliment. Repeat after me. Compliment someone.
Compliment someone.
Okay, excellent.
You've got fine. On top.
Okay, so next key to the X Factor is shh. Repeat after me. Shh. Turn to the person to your left or right and say, do this. Shh. Okay. So what does this mean? What do I mean when I say shh? I was in my favourite coffee shop the other day, and I go to this coffee shop every single day. It's my favourite coffee shop. I go to this coffee shop in Gloucester, and I sit down and I get my work done. This is my most productive time because I sit down, I've got my coffee, I'm focused. Nothing else matters to me. I'm there, and I get my stuff done. I'm productive. Okay. So I'm sat down. And I noticed this woman sat with her back turned to me, and it looked like she was waiting for somebody. She's checking her watch like this. And I thought, what's going on here then? I couldn't help but notice this. And then I saw this gentleman walked in. He looked really rushed. He looked really flustered, and it looked like a second date to me, because the guy walked in. He gave the woman a peck on the cheek, and then he sat down. And I couldn't help but notice this. Right? Normally I'm really, really focused. But for the next 15 minutes, I kid you not, the next 15 minutes, this guy would not stop talking about himself. My day's been this, my day's been that. Negative, negative, negative. I was stuck in traffic. The thing about me is I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like that, blah, 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 blah. And I was listening to this guy, I'm thinking, well, poor woman. You know, and I knew. I know how human beings work, right? So I knew what this woman's facial expression would be. I didn't have to look, but I thought just for entertainment value, I'll have a look. And I glanced in front of me, and she was like this. This guy would not stop talking about himself. She couldn't actually get a word in. Okay? So I'm saying that if you talk about what you already know, you are not learning anything new. So by listening to somebody, hearing them out and asking that person questions, you are able to retain information from that person. And you are able to ask them questions about what their interests are. It's very, very basic communication skills now, conversation skills. You know, so if say for example, if I'm on a date with somebody, okay, so on a date, am I selling myself, yes or no?
Yes.
I'm selling that person as to why I am supposed to be her boyfriend, right? So if I don't ask this, if this person loves to play tennis, and they absolutely love tennis, if I don't ask them that question, I'll never know that they love tennis. And if I don't know they love tennis, and I don't ask them that question, and I don't talk about tennis to them, I can't make that person feel good. Because people love to talk about what they enjoy. Would you agree with that? Yes or no?
Yes.
So I could say, it would say, I love tennis. Oh wow, what do you like about tennis? Where have you played before? Who is your favourite tennis player? Who do you normally play with? Are you naturally good at tennis? Do you practice a lot? Do you prefer clay or grass? Do you prefer clay or grass? So I'm able to make that person feel good by talking about what they like. Very, very simple. Actually, conversation is a little bit like tennis. Good conversation skills. I hit the ball to them by asking them a question. They speak. They hit the ball back to me. I speak. I hit the ball back to them, ask them a question. This is basic conversation skills now. And please, 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 let me ask this question. How does it make you feel when someone interrupts you? Do you feel a little bit disrespected? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, please, 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 never, ever, 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 ever interrupt somebody while they speak. Unless there's an earthquake, or Arsenal win the league, you know, please do not interrupt that person, okay? Because it's disrespectful. Simple as that. Hear the person out, be present with what they're saying, and instead of formulating your response while they're talking, no, listen to what they're saying, pause for a second, and then you respond. Because often we do that, right? When it comes to conversation, I might be talking to you, and you may be not fully present with what I'm saying, but you're already formulating your response in your mind. Okay, this is something that we need to improve. So listen to the person, hear them out, and then pause, and then respond. This is how you become an awesome conversationalist, and it goes a long way. Okay, so key number 6 is shh. Repeat after me. Shh. Okay, excellent. So, number 7 key to the X factor is empathize. Empathize with somebody. So raise your hands if you've heard of emotional intelligence. Raise your hands if you've heard of that. Emotional intelligence. So some people, a lot of people have a lot of information up here. You know, they have a lot of degrees, a lot of qualifications, they know this and they know that, and they know how many, you know, who's getting married on Coronation Street, or who's getting paid 200 grand a week paying for Chelsea. They know all this information, but when it comes to emotional intelligence, connecting with somebody at a deep emotional level, they find it very, very difficult. And let me just say something that may actually change your life. Raise your hands if you want to hear it. Say, Dan, what is it?
Dan, what is it?
Lean forward a little bit. Lean forward, lean forward, lean forward, lean forward. People don't remember what you said. People remember how you made them feel. Tom, in the last session, I think he typified this really, really well. I think he spoke on it really, really well. When he talked about stories and connecting with people and having that deep resonance with people, I think he spoke really well on that. And I think it's something that is very, very important. To empathize with somebody is to understand somebody emotionally. To connect with somebody emotionally. I'm not talking about, you know, the conscious mind, this quick, analytical, responsive part of our mind. I'm talking about our deeper subconscious level, tapping into our emotions. You know, when somebody's sharing with you some information that is really, really, it may be something of a touchy subject to somebody. It may be a little bit of a sore subject. You better make sure you connect that person by empathizing to their situation, by saying, I know how you feel. I feel your pain. I understand how you feel. I had a similar experience to this. I know somebody who went through something very, very similar. I understand how you feel. This is how we empathize with our fellow human being. You know, we talk about very charismatic people now. So I want you to think about somebody in your head right now is very, very charismatic. It may be a film star, it may be somebody that you know, maybe somebody in your family, it may be a big celebrity. Think of somebody in your head right now you think is very, very charismatic, who has the X factor. Okay, who is that person? I want to know who that person is. Anybody?
My dad.
Your dad? Very charismatic?
Very charismatic. Yeah.
Okay, and how would you say he's charismatic?
He always challenges himself in every single area. So, you know, other people might just stick to one area and just, you know, be really passionate about that, but he challenges himself all the time. So he's retired, you could easily just settle down. You know, he's challenged himself, he's made his own business in all the skills that he's learned in the profession he had before, and now he's going again, and so he's a grafter, you know, and he constantly engages with risk in his work life and his personal life.
Excellent. Fantastic. So your father, okay, anybody else want to share who they think the charismatic person is? Very, very charismatic person.
Mourinho.
Mourinho, Jose Mourinho.
Jose Mourinho.
Okay, so I was going to say Chelsea then, but it's got to be ex-Chelsea now because obviously he's been. So why do you think Mourinho is charismatic?
Well, when he came into Chelsea, when he called himself a special one, I think it just gave confidence to everyone else, and you kind of believed in the hype of him. Later on years, probably not so much, but when he first came to England, he was very charismatic. I think players could buy into that, and I think that's where he got successful.
And did Jose Mourinho have a lot of influence on people?
Yes, I think definitely.
I agree. I think Jose Mourinho is massively charismatic. Absolutely. Okay, anybody else share? Who do you think is a charismatic person who you know, or anybody else?
From the business world, we mentioned him previously, Rich Brunson.
Richard Branson? Okay. And how do you think that Richard Branson is charismatic?
By showing that you can do things with. Tom mentioned he left school without GCSEs, so he took that on board. Went forward. He's one of the biggest businessmen in the world now. Even his little snippets that he comes out with, people will point to. And yeah, he's just brought lots of people with him on the journey as well.
Excellent. Richard Branson paints that vision, takes people with him, right? Very, very charismatic. So I just wanted to ask you that because I wanted to know, what you think is real, genuine charisma, and who that you admire, that you are inspired by. I just wanted to get a little bit of feedback on that. So one of the things that I've come to understand is that we often look at the most successful people, that me and you look up to. We often think of them as, cold, calculating, analytical, don't care about anybody. Often we have this kind of image of like ruthlessness. I think a lot of us have this misconception. But one of the things that I've come to understand is that, people, whether it's Will Smith, whether it's Oprah Winfrey, whether it's Bill Clinton, they have the X factor because they're able to empathize with somebody. Watch Oprah Winfrey, she's amazing at this. She sat down interviewing somebody and she's listening to them, and you can tell from her face expressions she's connecting with that person because she can put herself, this is what it's all about now, putting yourselves in someone else's shoes and seeing it as how they do. If you're able to do this, you make such a connection with somebody. They talked about Bill Clinton. Raise your hands if you've heard of Bill Clinton. Okay, so Bill Clinton, I did a lot of research on Mr. Clinton, and one of the things that I came to understand was that every person that I actually researched, who actually spoke to Bill Clinton and were around his presence, they said that there's a common thread. They said that when Bill Clinton walks into a room, there could be one person or there could be 10,000 people. But he would make you feel as an individual like you were the only person in that room. And he was able to empathize, and he was very, very good at it. He's very, very charismatic, very, very influential person. Okay, so understand somebody at a deep emotional level, and this is how we build trust. You have so much power if you can build trust with your fellow human being. This is absolutely critical to building relationships with somebody. So put yourself in someone else's shoes and see it how as they do, feel their pain, empathize with your fellow human being. Okay, number 7 is empathize. Repeat after me, empathize.
Empathize.
Turn to the person to your left or right and say, you're going to have the X factor.
You're going to have the X factor.
Okay, fantastic. So, we're on our final key to the X factor. Okay. Have a look at that. Okay, number 8, PMA. Repeat after me, PMA.
PMA.
Okay, so does anybody know what PMA stands for?
Positive mental attitude.
Correct. Positive mental attitude. So I want you to raise your hands if you like being around positive people. And one thing I've come to understand, this may resonate with you. Negativity is contagious, and positivity is contagious. I love being around positive people. I love being around people that see the glass as half full as opposed to half empty. Because when I'm around positive people, I can't help but feel good. I want you to raise your hands if I want you to raise your hands if you've got some negative people in your life right now. Here, 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 here. Thank you for the interaction there. Okay, don't we all? Okay, so negative people, they're not good for you. Negative people, whether it's somebody that you know face to face or whether it's somebody on Facebook, if somebody puts a negative Facebook status up, okay, you need to block that person or delete them or find a way that you don't have to see what they post anymore, because it will have an effect on you as a person and it will have an effect on your success. When I coach people, when I mentor people, we go through this whole thing of the success funnel. I'm not going to go into that now because I don't have enough time, but it's very, very powerful. And the success funnel basically says that whatever goes in here must come out. Whatever goes in must come out. So whatever goes into your mind, whether it's input from your friends, your family, the TV that you watch, the newspapers, the magazines, your environment dictates the person that you are, your personality. Your environment has a massive impact on the person that you are. So if you spend enough time with 4 losers, guess what? You will soon become the 5th. Yeah? But it also works on the flip side. If you spend enough time with 4 winners, you will soon become a winner. Negativity is contagious. Positivity is also contagious. I want to tell you a story. Raise your hands if you've heard of Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl? Okay, so Viktor Frankl wrote an iconic book, sold millions of copies. It's called Man's Search for Meaning. I don't know if you've heard of that book, Man's Search for Meaning. And it's a very, very powerful book. Viktor Frankl was a Swiss psychiatrist, and he was held captive in the Nazi concentration camps. His wife and his child were taken away from him. Never saw them again. Never saw them again. And Viktor Frankl witnessed perils unknown to most of us. Unknown to most of us. I mean, he tells stories of he was outside working on the concentration camps, hours on end, minus conditions, freezing cold, and he would look down at his feet, and he had holes in his socks, and he'd look down and his feet were so cold that they actually turned blue. His feet turned blue because they were so cold. And he tells this chilling story of when everybody's finished their day's work, and for some reason there was a child, a 12-year-old child, he hadn't done his work properly, and he was made to stay out in the freezing conditions by himself. And Viktor Frankl, as he was on his way in, he looked to his side, and he saw this 12-year-old boy whimpering and crying. I mean, that would scar anybody. The average person, that would scar them for life. Absolutely chilling. But I want to end on something positive. Viktor Frankl was able to choose his attitude in any given set of circumstances. Viktor Frankl was happy. He was successful. He was free. And he said something that completely changed my life. He said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space, we are able to choose our response. And in our response lies our freedom. And that completely changed my life. So in layman's terms, ladies and gentlemen, it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond, which is a determining factor in getting what you want from life. So it's your choice. You can choose a negative attitude, or you can choose a positive attitude. Zig Ziglar once said, you can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. We have to reach out to people. We have to make an effort with people. We have to make people feel good. We have to use our own resources to affect other people and make other lives better. This is X Factor here, all the keys here. Apply this and your life will change. People are going to want to be part of your life. They're going to want to get to know you. They're going to say, who's that person there? I want to get to know that person because of their personality and their influence. Ladies and gentlemen, you have the power to choose your own attitude. Choose the X Factor, and it's going to work wonders for you, I promise. So ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, and God bless.